Welcome to The Freight Break with your host, Dan Lindsay, the podcast that cuts through the noise of the trucking industry. We're talking real conversations, real relationships, and real insight that keep the wheels turning.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the new and improved, hopefully improved, Freight Break. We have an exciting show for you today. We're going to be talking with my good friend and fellow BCS board member, Mr. Jaime Heredia. But before we get into the weeds, let's go ahead and turn it over to our sponsor, TIE Software. Freight brokers, revolutionize your game with TIE Software's TMS. Instantly quote, book, and track loads with cutting-edge automation. Connect to carriers effortlessly and watch your efficiency soar. TIE's powerful analytics help you make smarter decisions faster. Ditch the chaos and scale your business with confidence. TIE Software, built for brokers, driven by results. All right, for today's Summit check-in, we are 153 days away from the Broker Carrier Summit in Orlando, and I want to start off with a little bit of fun. So, as you may know, if you've attended one of our summits in the past, the final event that we have is usually a blowout party. We have a lot of fun with it. This past month in Indianapolis, we were at the Dallara IndyCar factory where we had our own custom wrapped IndyCar for the night. We had some great food, great conversations. We even got to tour the manufacturing facility, which was really awesome. So the bar is high. We've always had a high bar when it comes to our networking events at the BCS, and Orlando is going to be no different whatsoever. So what do we have planned? I'll tell you. Battle of the Bands Logistics Edition. One of the things we've found over the years is that there is a ton, and when I say a ton, I mean an absolute metric ton of untapped potential talent in the freight industry, specifically when it comes to music. I don't know, do we all need therapy? I think we might all need therapy, and music is great therapy for everybody. So, Battle of the Bands in Orlando on October 30th, our blowout party. We're still looking for a venue. We have 3 or 4 that we're looking at, but I'm excited about it. We're going to have a local band start us off, but if you have an untapped musical talent that you want to display at the Broker Carrier Summit, I cannot think of a better venue for you to do that than at the Broker Carrier Summit in Orlando. So join us. You will not regret it, and show your gifts to the world. Welcome to the segment of Barrel and Burn, where I share some of my favorite whiskeys, scotches, and bourbons, as well as some of my favorite cigars over the years. If you have a whiskey or a bourbon or a scotch or a cigar that you want us to review, send it in or put it in the comments. We'd be happy to review it with you. We'd be happy to drink it with you if you want to get on the show and drink it with us. That'd be fantastic. Today's beverage of choice is a Speyside single malt scotch. It is the Macallan 12 year. If there is an everyday scotch that I like to drink, it is the Macallan 12. This one is aged in sherry oak casks. It's a very rich whiskey, very rich scotch, full body. If you open it up here, take a little sniff, the nose gives you some sherry notes. You can also get some kind of fruity smells and aromas as well as a vanilla scent. So it's very pleasant, very light, very airy. My wife likes this one as well. She says it tastes like flowers. Some also say when they drink this, they get hints of chocolate and fudge. I've not experienced that, but then again, I'm not really a huge chocolate and fudge kind of person, so maybe it's just that I don't like chocolate. But it's got a nice medium to medium long finish. It's very balanced. You can really taste the oak in Macallan's signature oakiness that it has. So, Macallan 12, cheers. If we're going to give this a grade, the Macallan 12, for price, it runs about $65 to $75, depending on where you get it. Price will be around a 5.5. Taste and flavor, solid 9. Again, this is one of my go-tos. If I'm not sure about what to have for the evening nightcap, I'll just always go to this. So if you're wondering what cigar to pair with your Macallan 12, honestly, it depends on a few things. One of them is going to be how long you plan to sit. I came across this very elegant J.C. Newman cigar. It's called a Quorum. I found it a few weeks ago. I actually liked it so much I bought an entire brick of them. It's got a medium strength. This one has a Maduro wrapper. I tend to favor the Maduro wrappers over the lighter Connecticut wrapper. It's got a really earthy, kind of almost, it almost smells like hay, but it's very straightforward. Like I said, it's very even, very mild, a little sweet on the finish. But yeah, good everyday smoke. Again, I got a case of these for around $25, so there was about 30 in there, so I think it's what is that math-wise? Like $2, $3 a cigar? So, yeah, very casual, everyday smoke, but Quorum, JC Newman, Nicaraguan with the Maduro rep. That's all for today's segment of Barrel and Burn. If you have a whiskey, scotch, or bourbon that you want us to review, put it in the comments, or cigar. Put it in the comments or send it in to Dan@brokercarriersummit.com. Happy to review it for you. More so, happy to review it with you on the show. All right, today we're breaking it down with the newest member of the board of directors of the Broker Carrier Summit, my personal friend and traveling companion most recently, Mr. Jaime Heredia. Jaime, how are you doing, my friend?
What's going on? Trying to recover, man, from Mexico.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, because that was last week. That was a very productive and very wild trip. So just to give some context, Jaime and I and Hector Rodriguez were in Monterrey, Mexico last week, doing some site work and reconnaissance for one of the Broker Carrier Summit's upcoming events, the Monterrey Cross-Border Connector, the first ever event designed to bring American and Mexican companies together for the purpose of understanding each other in a cross-border operations sort of way. So, Jaime, what were some of your main takeaways, and how did this idea even come about?
Number one, well, let's just talk about the idea. Everybody's talking about tariffs these days and how China is holding out, right? And Trump's pushing strong on his and I guess his strong tax beliefs that America's not treated right. So one of the big things that China does, they're not dumb. They look for other areas to import. I found out that they were importing stuff in Honduras and moving it up to the railway system into Mexico, and Mexican carriers were going to move it up to Laredo, Brownsville, McAllen, Nogales, right? All the main ports, Tijuana. They're going to figure it out.
So do Mexican companies ever have to deal with fraud the same way we do in the U.S.?
We had talked about it, Dan, and we had talked about there's a lot of freight already moving from Mexico. And as of late, I think the numbers are 18,000 to 22,000 loads a day are being moved through that channel, right? I always post about Mexican freight and where it originates and how Mexican carriers are actually part of our actual ecosystem, and people forget about the ecosystem. I think it's important who your partners are, right, and how people do business. One of the big things that I like to learn is how people do business in other countries. I've been to a lot of different countries. Everybody does things differently.
What is the role of technology when it comes to Mexican companies and how they operate?
It's crazy how people are maneuvering thousands of trucks with no technology and still getting across the border. They have a lot of different threats than what America does. The big thing that we see right in America, there's a lot of fraud. They're not dealing with fraud. They're dealing with other things, other intricacies within the ecosystem within Mexico. And they don't have to deal with freight guards because everybody knows each other. But the idea came and said, why don't we put America and Mexico together, because we're already doing so much business, and having each side learn about how they operate and build relationships between each other and see what they could do, because a lot of people do transloading in Laredo areas, right, or the port areas. And it's just like, what can American companies learn, or how can they actually partner with companies that are just dropping loads off and transloading? One of the guys, the Los Tejones, right, the badass trucks that we've seen, the Badgers, right? It's crazy. They move so many miles. The story is a great story. They move so many miles. They always move in groups, but they move from Monterrey to Laredo, and they come back empty to Monterrey. But they just transload and look for American partners. It's just like, what would that look like if we could get our group at BCS, right, involved with all that freight and going even direct, right? It's just like going direct from carrier to carrier. And it's just like, what does it look like to streamline an operation when you could put two parties together that know nothing about each other's business?
Right. Well, and that goes back to the core, the original mission of the Broker Carrier Summit was to resolve differences between brokers and carriers, to get both sides of the logistics equation to the table. brokers and carriers in general are disconnected, but I think in a different way, and you're kind of unpacking it a little bit here today. American companies and Mexican companies have a natural disconnect as well. A lot of it is practice, right? So American companies act a certain way, Mexican companies act a certain way. A big difference, I think I would argue a bigger difference is cultural. And there's a huge difference in the way Mexican companies secure business with each other and the way American companies secure business with each other. The sales process is completely different. You have to know somebody, and if you don't, you're already going to be operating at a loss. And that's what I see a lot of these American companies, freight brokerages, shippers, even other larger carriers that are trying to partner with Mexican companies today. I see them operating at a loss out of the gate because there's not really a mechanism that anyone has built to help these two sides of the North American freight equation relate to each other or talk to each other. Is that accurate, do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I think even from a stronger point, the Mexican carriers they don't like a lot of the BS, and they actually form associations. We met with the vice president there, right? Everybody happened to know each other. They all have 100 trucks, 1,000 trucks, 500 trucks. In Allende, where we went, has a population of 50,000 people, and it has 5,000 trucks that operate. They're big trucking companies, but they don't put up with BS. They don't allow people to mistreat the actual transportation companies, because people actually respect the trucker there. And they say they see the value in the actual trucker and what they're actually doing for them, and they're moving their product for them, right? And it's just like they have to navigate it safely. One of the things that we were at dinner, right, and like I said, everybody's doing with their own business, their own way, and they all have their different problems. We talked about kind of some of the issues what they have their drivers with cycling fuel, right? And what did
Right.
yeah, what did
Some of the challenges that these guys go through, I was just sitting there shaking my head and like, what in
yeah.
the world is
Yeah. They allow people to siphon fuel, like their drivers. They're like, hey, it's okay. The reason why there's a lot of risk, right? So we love our drivers, and
a
we
little
want to
bit?
make
We'll
sure that they're
tolerate it.
fuel. Right, right. We want to make sure that they're happy, right? And I hope that everybody understands that Dan and I are leaving it blank. And if you want to hear the stories, call us. We could tell you the story. And actually, you know what? Don't even call us. Just show up in Monterey, February 18th of next year. Talk to these guys yourself, and they'll tell you the struggles, right? Like they were really open in like the dinners everywhere we went, of like the intricacies of like the issues that they handle in their business, right? Their models. And it's crazy, but it's powerful stories. And it's just like, we're worried over here about guys from Armenia stealing our freight. These guys are allowing people to skim off their fuel, right? And it's just like not a big deal.
That was something else that was really telling. The people that we met were extraordinarily open. They were very inviting. They were extremely hospitable. They were genuinely glad that we were there. You want to unpack that a little bit, Jaime, and share?
So it wasn't by accident. It was all by design. We knew that we wanted to go down there. So I had Hector already making relations, and I have relations in Laredo, and connecting the right people, right? Enrique Bello from On Time Delivery. We actually met with his boss, right, which is Alan, and they operate an expedite company that's huge. They've had the same customers for over 15 to 20 years, worked the same exact way, right? But they gave us some insight. But Hector made some connections with the actual U.S. government that actually took us to the vice president of the association, right? And the reason why they were welcoming is because we were tied to friends of their friends. And in Mexico, people only do business with their friends. That's how it works. You happen to know, you have to have somebody that you know that'll actually connect you to the right people, to the right places. That way you get the right freight, or you're not going to move any freight. And people kick you out if you're actually not part of somebody's group or part of a group. They're not going to let you do business. That's how it works. That's the rules. That's the laws. I was there just listening to it. You were there just listening to it and absorbing it. It's just a way different way of how to do business. As I stated over there, there's a lot of respect for the actual carrier because they're the ones that are navigating through all these hurdles. They're the ones that are actually moving and putting their drivers in danger. Come next February, people will find out what those dangers are, right? Or just give us a call and we could tell you the story.
We can unpack some of those. Yeah,
right.
Those challenges, like it's real danger that those drivers face over the road in Mexico. It is crazy the challenge that they have and how different they are. One of the things that struck me, and I know you and I talked about this as well, is the relative absence of fraud within the trucking industry in Mexico. And I wonder if one of the reasons for that is because they're too busy worrying about other challenges and other risks that they don't have time to try and defraud each other. But it goes back to that relationship aspect that you spoke about as well, in that if you're invited into these groups, these associations, the expectation is you're going to do right by each other. And if you don't, you're no longer going to be part of the association. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best way to state it, and it's crazy that they hold themselves to their standards, and it's just not today's standard, right? These are things that have passed down from generation to generation. Part of one of our conversations with the vice president of the association in the trucking world down there, right? He brought his son. Did you see his son?
Yeah.
His 18-year-old kid. He brought him in because he's showing them the ropes. That's how it works. These things are passed down from generation to generation. His father was a truck driver, right? They still have the 1981 Peterbilt that we posted, which is cool. But this are prized possessions. Like this shit's are prized possessions. They even built houses better than our houses, right? Or just to store these units.
I would live in that guy's garage. Right. I would 100% live in that garage.
Yeah, it was crazy. They built like if people when next February comes, people will see, and I hope that a lot of people decide to come and join because Monterey is a safe place. We'll have a lot of stuff, but they will be so proud to show us how they store those trucks. They built a farm. They built these farms for the trucks and like ponds and stuff, and like it's their like pride.
It's like a retreat for the trucks.
Yeah,
like
right.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like they're so proud about like the trucking industry and what they do as in the trucking world in Mexico, and I think that's something that's lost in the United States. You don't see people parading around their trucks, right? Instead of having Lambos, these guys have 1981 trucks that they pull around the city.
Yeah, we were asking the guys, like, what do you use this for? He said I drive it around on Sundays. Like that's what he cruises in. Like that's the boss play.
Yeah, it is a boss play,
yeah.
And it cooks them all up, right? And they're super proud. But even prouder, like we need to get Kenworth or Freightliner to give us a truck, Dan. They they got these guys. They do so much business and so many miles that they got 2025. You saw it, right?
Yeah,
it's a special edition.
It's gorgeous.
They're trucks that were made out of 50 trucks, right? Only 50 units were created for this specific group because they traveled in 8, and the reason why they call them the Badgers is, one, Badgers don't travel in groups, but they were mean like Badgers, and they were mean where they didn't let anybody mess with them. So when they would pick up freight, it was 8 guys and 8 trucks that would roll together to keep each other safe.
And they became like road legends in Mexico.
And like it's exciting stuff. Like I got excited seeing it, right? And then we could even go into the logistics world. As I promised you, the logistics world in Mexico is way different. It's way different how people actually go to these little events. Thousands of people. Just thousands of people, huge events. I haven't seen an event that big here in the United States. Even Matt's, I think these were bigger than Matt's and Gat's, with as many people that were there. And people were like, the town stopped just to go to these events.
Well, one of the things that I was really humbled by, and I think this is telling, one of the people that we were talking with was extremely thankful that we were there, and specifically that I was there. Because one, I'm not Mexican. I'm extremely white. I don't speak any Spanish or hardly any Spanish at all. But he was extremely thankful that I came down to see them, because a lot of the times, and I think we do this unintentionally, um, as Americans, we insist on everyone coming to us, and we insist on everyone operating on our terms. And he said it's refreshing to see someone from America come and actually want to see what we do and how we operate, and want to meet us on our terms. That was extremely humbling.
It is like it's just a different culture that people won't understand, but I think people appreciate it and look at trucking a little bit different. And hopefully both sides learn from each other. Number one, how much respect there is for each party that's involved in Mexico. I mean, just so much respect. Number two, from the Mexican side, I hope we could give them some technology that can make their jobs easier, because a lot of it is phone calls. They just have people that are communicating by phone, right? And try to make it a little bit safer. I don't know how we could do that without ruining their current business models, but I know that we could assist or try to help and give people ideas. And for those that aren't in Mexico, Dan will tell you firsthand how big it is. I saw my first Chinese person that spoke Mexican.
Dude, that tripped me out so much. I was so confused.
It's so confused. And literally, I started speaking English because, like, I thought he knew English, and he turned around and he's like, no English. So this guy only knew Chinese, and he knew Spanish, right? And I was just like, how the hell? But you go back to kind of what's happening in the reformation of the industry, right? People are moving their stuff into Mexico, and because they know that there's tons of business there. I guarantee that those Mexican companies, we saw the first Chinese, I seen the first Chinese Cummins engine, right? Never would I thought about it, but they developed their own engine. They developed their own trucks. I wouldn't doubt that they figure out how to push those trucks into the United States and compete, because they're already competing there. Like, you look and there's manufacturers that are already selling that, and it's just like, why are they there? And is there a bigger purpose? And I think there's a bigger purpose to it.
Well, they're not dumb. The Chinese are not dumb. They're very smart. They're very shrewd. I was surprised the number of Chinese companies that I saw at MATS last year when I was there, and there were not as many as there were at MATS at this event, but there were more than I thought there was going to be. One final thing that I think is extremely important for us to talk through is, again, this idea of what relationships look like. A lot of the increase in fraud and double brokering and identity theft and all that has happened or grown in the last 4 or 5 years has, I think, been due to the way that we handle relationships in logistics in the States. And what I mean by that specifically is, I think a lot of times companies relegate relationships to their systems, and they expect their systems or technological systems to replace the relational aspect and the level of vetting that happens when you have an actual relationship with people. I think the opposite is true in Mexico, because they don't have a lot of systems. We talked to a truck or a leader of a trucking company. He has 40 trucks, and he still uses Excel sheets and Google Docs as his system. But he said, I never have to deal with fraud because I know every single provider that I work with. And not only do I know them, he's probably related in some way, or they go to the same, places around town, church. Yeah. So exactly. The relationships that you need to be successful in this industry and in any industry cannot be delegated to technology.
I agree with you, Dan. Here's what I'll tell you. You ever see a hammer itself?
No.
It's because it's a tool, and people need to know how to utilize their tools, right? And if you learn how to utilize the tool correctly, it helps you build whatever foundation that you want. The best foundation is the relationship foundation, where you could actually understand who's been in business, how many loads that they've moved for you. And guess what? If you have to pay them a couple extra cents to know your stuff is secured, it'll save you $1 million on the back end.
Absolutely. That liability cost is high.
Yeah, relationships. It'll help you. It'll help you like conserve the headaches that you're gonna get. Right, prevent those headaches by building these relationships, making things easier, and knowing who you could call when you're in a tough spot.
All right. Well, Jaime, my friend, thank you very much for helping us break it down today. I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to working with you and with Hector and with our other partners in Mexico on putting on a successful Monterrey cross-border connector next February.
The more people that could come, the better. I promise you guys will learn a lot of stuff. I learned a lot of stuff, even though I knew what was going down there. But I think just hearing those conversations, it will excite people on what happens in Mexico and what thrills that they go through, right?
Yeah. Well, and if you're not excited about that, you will be excited about the food. I will guarantee you that.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I came back 7 pounds heavy.
All right, that's our show for today, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you are still with us and you found value in this content, again, we try to be valuable in all that we do here at the Broker Carrier Summit. Give us a like, give us a share, follow us on our YouTube channel, follow us on LinkedIn or any of our socials. Also, if you know someone that this would be beneficial for, feel free to share it with them and invite them to join the community. Above all, stay involved. We'd love to see all you guys in Orlando, October 28th to the 30th. If you are a Mexican or cross-border operation, we'd love to see you there as well. We'd also love to see you at our Monterrey Cross-Border Connector next February 18th to the 20th. You can learn more by going to our website, www.bcsfreightnetwork.com, and join the movement. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care.